Spot. Got my co-host Damian Ware here.
Good afternoon.
Dame, real quick, man, what's up with the finals? Did you enjoy your finals last night? NBA finals came to a close.
No.
Boston won, what, 4-1?
No, yeah. You know
Gentleman
I didn't
sweep.
enjoy that.
Gentleman sweep.
As a Laker fan, you don't never want to see Boston win.
Boston
you know
got
what I mean?
18 championships, Lakers 17.
You're going to rub it in, huh?
Hey, listen, and I don't think that it's any, I don't think nobody's coming to save y'all. Nobody's coming to save the Lakers.
This is another
From
topic.
here or another topic for another day. We got today our host or guest for the day, Mr. Johnnie Hannah, 5th Ward Councilman.
5th Ward
Council
Representative.
Absolutely. 5th Ward Council Representative, Mr. Johnnie Hannah, elected November 2023. How's everything treating you, man?
Well, it's going real well now.
Real well.
And I just want to thank you for allowing me to express my thoughts and opinions
Okay.
with your podcast audience.
Okay.
Like Kareem says, my name is Johnnie Hannah, and I'm the representative for the 5th Ward. And I've been sitting in the seat for 6 months.
6
and
months.
I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Okay. I see they got you serving on what, the Planning and Economic Development Committee, is that right?
I'm on 3 committees.
Okay.
Planning Economics, I'm on Parks and Recreation,
Okay.
and Safety.
Safety.
Yeah.
Interesting. Parks and Recreation and Safety, you've been active right away with those, right?
Yes, Parks and Recreation, we have this responsibility of revitalizing parks. We have responsibilities of maintaining parks.
Okay.
But what we mainly do, we fund those different agencies to do the parks in the cities. All we do is give them the money.
Okay.
That's it. They come to the table and they say, well, we're going to need this, and this amount of money
Okay.
in order for us to function and to do this, and this. We don't ever have to go outside and do any park work.
Okay. But making sure that everybody have what they need in order to function to provide that service for the community.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to run in the first place. City Council, you could be doing anything. You had a successful career.
Absolutely.
So you could be doing anything with your time.
Absolutely.
What inspired you to run for City Council?
City Council was an idea that came to my mind when I rode around in Ward 5. And I saw that there was a need for change because the leadership wasn't doing what I felt they should be doing and wasn't doing enough of it. They were doing some things. Some things they was doing, which they did well. But other things I thought I could add a new twist to it. I have always been a people person. So even when I was a little boy, I liked to sing in the choir. And as I got older, I was an usher.
Okay.
Church usher.
Okay.
And so I've always been connected with people. And because the City Council allowed me to continue to be connected with people, that's where I wanted to be. In Ward 5, I live in Ward 5, and I was concerned about Ward 5. That was the idea and the purpose of me coming on City Council, and to make a difference in Ward 5. Hopefully when I leave Ward 5, I'll leave it better than when I found it.
Good deal. Now, just for people who don't know, and this is my understanding of what the councilman does, you have a direct connection to the mayor. And if people in your ward have issues that they need to bring up with the mayor, you're kind of like the mediator between, or the intercessor, that we communicate with you, and then you can take that message to the mayor and speak to the behalf of the citizens in your ward. Is that kind of like a general idea of what the councilman does in the city?
Yes, I've heard actors say on television, I'm kind of the buffer.
Okay.
I'm the buffer.
Okay.
And so what happens if my constituents have an issue in their community, they'll call the councilman. Because the mayor is the connecting link That's a usher
Right.
terminology.
Okay.
The connecting link between the councilman and the ward residents.
Okay.
See, when something happens in the community, the residents don't call the mayor.
Right.
They
Right.
call the council.
Council.
Okay. Big story over the last couple of weeks. City canceled Juneteenth. The parks for the events that was happening in the city. I think they had an event that was supposed to be Copley Road. They had the Joy Park event, Juneteenth celebrations. In the city, from what I was told, 8 individuals off of city council felt that it was important after what happened on June 2nd with the shooting in June 2nd, felt that it was important to cancel those events. You were one of the ones who voted for that, right?
That is correct.
And what is it that you felt personally? Because that happened in your ward.
Yes.
Okay,
Ward
so
5.
you're directly connected to, you got your finger on the pulse of what's going on with that event in your area.
Yes.
What is it that you saw specifically, some of the things that concerned you, which made you feel like that was the right move to make as far as canceling that event?
Okay, first of all, there was a tragedy in Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
Never would I have dreamt that we would have a mass shooting in Akron. And so after that happened, which was June the 2nd,
Right.
we have not to this day captured or brought in the shooter or shooters. Now, you had 29 people that were injured. 1 died. 2 of them are still clinging to life. And so after that happened, I said that the city and the mayor needs to be proactive in trying to keep our residents safe. And so there was a time when the city would require the party givers to have, I guess, a license.
Okay.
And they would go downtown and they would get that license and the city would give them approval.
Yeah, like a permit.
A permit, that's what I wanted to say, a permit.
Okay.
That has stopped for some reason. Because what happened on June the 2nd in that area, it could have been avoided if it had have been sanctioned by the city.
Right. Okay.
The city would have had more security there, and perhaps that wouldn't have happened. But because the climate is what it is in our ward, I'm not sure if enough police would have stopped that.
Wow.
I'm not sure.
Right.
But after I heard about the shooting, I went to the area and I saw where the young man had been shot because there was still blood on the ground. And so I just felt bad for the organizer because he had been given this birthday party, I guess, for about 5 years.
Yeah.
But just this day, someone wanted to come to the party and mess the party up.
Wow. So we got, and that was June 2nd, right?
June 2nd.
So in the wake of that, like y'all spoke of, we had I think it was the Juneteenth and the Father's Day events that, as you said, for various concerns was canceled. So they had, it's been mixed feelings, I think. Some people didn't want to have events because they felt not safe. Some people who we had this discussion may have normalized some of these events when violence happens and may think like, we could just move forward and go on and still have these events. In your mind and with the group that you were with collectively, what were, outside of the shooter had not been caught, what were some of the main safety concerns in regards to that event? Because I think there was some things that happened, like there was a funeral and there were some things where there was some unsettled feelings. Mm-hmm. What was your concern? What were some of the safety concerns that you had if they were to go forward that weekend and still have those events?
Okay, well, first of all, there were not enough safety forces that were assigned to the areas that we were supposed to have the Juneteenth. On the east side, we had 4 officers. On the west side, we had 9 officers. Now, why wasn't there more officers on the east side? Because that's where the shooting happened.
Right.
So why didn't Mayor Malik put more officers on the east side as opposed to the west side? Now, if you remember last year, a young man got shot on the west side in Hawkins Park.
Right.
And so right now, it's about safety for our residents. That's my concern right now, is safety. That's the number one priority that I have for Ward 5. And I was not, when I signed that petition to cancel Juneteenth, it was a collective issue. It was a collective issue. Right. It wasn't just my issue, but it was all the council person that signed it.
Everybody was concerned.
Yes. And what we were concerned of, we didn't want the Juneteenth to be shut down. What I told them, I said, I don't want it shut down, but I don't want any blood on my hands either. And so I said, let's have a letter, let's get a letter together, and the councilman sign it and give it to Mayor Malik. Councilmen do not have the authority to shut anything down. And so when we gave the letter to Mayor Malik, then he made the decision.
It's his call.
Yeah, it's his
Taking
call.
the recommendation of the council.
That's correct.
Because there's other people that could have signed it that didn't sign it.
Yes.
And so he's sifting from all of the opinions of all of the council, people on council at large. He's taken from all of the people that he can, and then he's making the final decision.
He makes the final decision.
And your opinion was, and I think I seen it, I think I read it in, I think it was an article that I read from VXU, I think it was, The Daily. They had wrote, and they had a quote to where you were saying that you knew for a fact that people in your ward don't feel safe.
Now, I don't know how that could be a fact, but I do have, and I have had residents call me. I had a resident call me last week, and she said, Councilman Hannah, she said, I'm sick and tired of this. She said, they're shooting up and down my street. This is Joy. This is Joy Avenue, not too far from Joy Park. And so she said, I had to duck up under my bed.
Wow.
She said, I'm tired of this. And people riding up and down the street, shooting at each other. And she said, I am just sick and tired of this. Now, the residents, I have not had anybody call me and say, how come you do that? Why did you sign that petition to stop Juneteenth from going forward? I've not had anybody to call me to say that.
From the ward?
From Ward 5 in that area. No one. No one.
That kind of speaks volumes there.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Just too soon, maybe?
No. Because
I'm talking about too soon to have an event.
Absolutely.
Too soon close to the funeral. Too soon close to everything that's going on with making no progress on. Now, that's one thing I'm curious about. All of those people at that event, nobody seen nothing, huh?
Okay, now, here we go. Here we go.
I'm just asking.
When that happened,
okay,
and Akron police, they put 22-5 out there on the table, saying anybody bring that person, the shooter or shooters in, and you give us their names, and they are convicted, you got 22-5 on the table. I said after that came out in the news that's what's going to happen. Ain't nobody going to step forward right now because the Akron community and the people that know what happened, they're not going to step up to get no 22,500. No, because they know as soon as they open their mouth up, they are putting their family in danger and everybody else that knew them in danger. Yeah, you know, I said though, here's what I said. I said, give it about 3 or 4 months, and somebody gonna wake up and say, oh, that 22.5 look pretty good.
Bad, right.
I might be able to get me a bicycle or a tricycle with that.
Do some things.
Somebody seen something. Somebody has seen
yeah.
something. And that's, I hear about it all the time, that one of the challenges that we have when it comes to, it was a program that I was watching where there was a young lady whose son had been killed in the community. Not locally, but just in general in the black community. And she had a protest going because she was talking about the statistics from homicides being solved in white communities and homicides being solved in black communities, where their mayor happened to be, he wasn't the mayor, he was a police chief. The police chief, he just happened to be a black person, he was African American. And what he was saying was the difference between white communities and black communities is that they're jumping over each other to help give information to help get those people off of their streets to make their communities safer. Whereas it's a little bit more like pulling teeth. Even the people in the community who are the law-abiding citizens are reluctant to get involved because they don't want the backlash of what's going on. So he said it's not the police doing the job differently, is the cooperation that they're getting from each of those communities that's having an impact on the results that they're able to get.
You know, when we have a tragedy in our community, let's just say we have someone that's been murdered in our community. 9 times out of 10, that murder is never solved, especially for black males. And they have statistics downtown in Akron that will support that. And I believe that the community at large, they will not be aggressive enough to find out who killed a black male in the neighborhood, because we are committing genocide on our own people. When we kill a brother, that means that he does not reproduce. We have enough young black men in prison. So they're not going to reproduce unless they get out early.
Right.
And so what happens is that, well, you're just another black individual that got shot, and this is the way y'all live. So we're not going to put much effort into it. If somebody want to come up, speak up, then all well and good. But that's how it is in our neighborhood.
Right.
You spoke to the fact that you talked about the safety issue and the concern for you, and you said you wasn't gonna have the blood on your hands. Would you kind of be taking a double hit also, because not only is that your ward, you the councilman, but then you serve on the safety committee, so you kind of got double assignment to make sure that you keep things well managed. Is that like also, because that's kind of like a two-edged sword or whatever have you, 2 jobs in one. So would you have kind of, if God forbid, if something does happen, is that kind of on your watch on both ends?
Yes, that would most definitely be. The blood on my hands is reference to something happening again in that area. I would rather be proactive than to let that happen again. And if you didn't know it, I'm only 6 months sitting in the seat. And nobody could have ever told me
that you was going to mass
what
shooter.
I was going to be getting into as far as a mass shooter.
It's interesting because it's like all of this is happening as the guard is changing. You got with the mayor, he puts Police Chief Brian Hardy. This guy gets sworn in on the 27th of May, and then on June 2nd, this shooting happens. This cat is 5 days in the job. But it seems that the mayor, and I'm just getting more acquainted with the mayor, paying attention. I'm trying to pay more attention with Mayor Malik. The steps that he's taken, how are you guys assisting him, and how much input is he taking from you all with the steps that's being taken? Like, for instance, he had, I think it was called the Gun Violence Response Fund. That was the immediate response from this, was the Gun Violence Response Fund, a fund put together to help with medical bills, funeral costs, and daily expenses for people who might have to miss work if they're caught up into a situation like that. To me, though, it seems like it would not, even if you did that, because that seems more like victims assistance. It seemed like that's already out there. I don't know.
Well, victim assistance is there, but victim assistance came in and they're sending out $500 gift certificate to those 28 people that was caught up in that crossfire.
Okay, so the Gun Violence Response Fund, is that kind of doubling down on the victim assistance program, or is that different?
No, victim assistance would never have that kind of money. Victim assistance, as I understand it, has a very low budget.
Okay.
So the budget for victim assistance, and I talked with the director, and she told me $4,000 a year, victim assistance. So the mayor did a wonderful thing when he came up with the idea of that money, $150,000, and he was going to just take care of just the victims that were shot in that massacre. And I thought he did a wonderful job with that. But on the other hand, just recently he had his news conference, and that news conference said that he was eliminating Juneteenth. But none of the council members were present. He didn't invite us. We were left out.
So instead of projecting a united front, it made it seem like he made the decision on his own, or what do you?
He did make the decision on his own. All we did was say we are concerned about going forward with Juneteenth. And it's not politics. Whenever you can save a life, that's not politics.
Okay.
Right.
That's not politics.
That makes sense.
So you got your ward, you got the mayor. What would be like some of your strategies in terms of improving safety in your ward, which would also improve safety, across the city? What are some of the things that you think you would like to see happen to, like you said, you want to be proactive, to stay in that mind frame, and what are some of your plans in terms of safety and improving the actual safety overall?
Okay. Number one, Akron Police Departments must start to be engaged with the community. Get out of those cars, ride bicycles, walk, whatever you have to do, and get engaged with the community. That way the community can feel like you're part of the community.
There's a relationship.
Yeah. And I would say that had that been done in the past, we would know who that mass shooter was, because somebody would have stepped up, because Officer so-and-so, I know him, he's a good guy, I'm going to tell.
I can go talk to him.
Yeah, I can talk to him.
Okay.
And so, number two, permits. We need permits. Anytime there's a large gathering, especially on city property, we need permits. And I think that's something the city council is going to work on. If you have a large gathering, not saying in your backyard, that's your backyard,
Right.
but anything on public property and on city property, we need a permit. Also, we need more law enforcement officers that look like us. That look like us. And so that's where that's where it's breaking down at. I was at the police academy 3 or 4 weeks ago on Dan Street. And as I walked through the hall and I looked at the pictures from yesteryears, I ain't seen none of us on those pictures.
Wow.
None of us on those pictures.
None of us on
No
those
representation.
pictures. No. And I said to myself, how did this happen? How did this happen? And now there's an effort to increase our presence in the community, and we need that.
That I've been seeing, and we even have flyers in the barbershop, you know, that they've dropped by. And this isn't the first time that we've had officers come through and drop off literature to try to get and increase the presence, get more African Americans coming, filling out applications, going to the police academy, and that type of thing. But I got to say, as a person that's a business person that puts together marketing material, this is excellent marketing. This is excellent marketing. I don't know whether the mayor's behind it or whatever, but I'm talking about this covers all of the bases. It tells you just exactly what's available, and it's a very attractive offer. You're talking about $65,000 a year, going up to $76,000 after 3 years. Benefits, the whole nine. Still, in our community, we're a little reluctant to actually join the police department, to go to the police academy. What are some of the things that you think can be done? What are we not doing? Or what's the stumbling block that's causing the disconnect between why these people aren't taking advantage of these opportunities? These are good jobs.
Trust. That's what it is. We don't trust the police department, number one. The community stopped trusting the police department when they shot Jalen Walker. That was the biggest hit right there. No trust in the police department. And why would I take a job? Newsflash, I retired from Metro Regional Transit Authority. You walk into Metro Regional Transit Authority as a bus operator, you close to $60,000 walking through the door now. When I left, they was close to $90,000, $100,000. We had a couple of guys that was making $100,000, but they stayed there all day and night though. They worked it. But why would I jeopardize my life for that kind of money? Why would I sign up for something that I know that the community is not for? You know, they wouldn't welcome me with open arms. Why would I do that? No, this looks great. This looks great. But you can get that kind of money at other places where you don't have to risk your life.
But then you still haven't solved the problem when it comes to the trust issue. My view on it is that, okay, there's automatically something that if I see an officer that looks like me, there's automatically a connection there. There's not, you know, we have a kinship. So the trust could start with just seeing somebody that looked like me. And so if we're looking at it as, okay, do we talk about the problem? Do we acknowledge the problem? Or are we trying to solve the problem? Because I think that as a people, we're great at acknowledging problems and pointing out problems. We're very slow to actually take action in order to rectify the problem or change the condition and do something about it. So it seems to me, if you have an issue with the police, if there's a distrust there, that can be changed much more effectively from within the police department than on the outside, standing at a city council meeting, screaming at the top of my lungs about what the police ain't doing. And what this is an open door to take a step towards making those changes.
Why do you think that the younger black males that could qualify for that job, why do you think they haven't stepped up? They haven't stepped up because there's no trust in that department. Right now, and we just experienced that the move-up system in the police department is very slow. The last black high official that we had in the police department was Irving. Do you remember Chief Irving?
Yeah.
That was the last one that we had. And so if you're going into the police department and there's no advancement, the advancement is slow. So you stuck like Chuck.
I think about when I used to live and work in Cleveland. They had black officers that had been in the community, and it was people that had been in those jobs for a long time. And even when you was downtown, you would, see those officers, and they would see cats that they went to school with, played ball with, their parents worked together or whatever have you, and it was a different energy. And so I think I'm taking what you're saying, and are we so far removed from that are we too late?
I don't think it's too late. It's never too late to start. I just think that it has to be a heavy recruiting effort. How many of your customers pick these up and walk out with them?
You see people picking it, they just don't talk about it. The ones that's talking about it, they usually talking negative. But the ones who seem like they might be attracted to it, they don't say nothing. They just grab it and fold it up, put it in their pocket, and then they don't really talk about it. But my interaction with the police has always been, I don't look at them as a group. You know what I'm saying? Individuals that I've come in contact with and engaged with has always been a positive experience. I'm sure that experience is not everybody's experience, but at the same time, that's my expectation. I feel like, and I was raised in a time when the police was there to protect and serve. So the police was an ally to the community, just like the teachers were, just like the pastor was. These were entities that was in the community in order to be able to help families create a better environment for their families, their children, their community. So I remember police just driving down the street, and we'd be playing football in the street, and they would pull over. We didn't start running when they pulled over and got out the car. We was like, oh man, there's a police officer. And they would come over and talk to us and give us these little plastic badges that they used to have, and they would put them on our shirts, and he would tell us the little thing to say, and hey, if there's any problems, you see anything wrong, don't do anything, just go get an adult and tell an adult, like a deputizing of the kids in the community. But there was, police officers that I used to see all our lives, and we would wave to them, and they would wave back, and they would blow their horn and that type of thing, hit that siren, and we thought that was cool. So the relationship for me was always there. And to me, that carries on even to today. You know what I'm saying? Some of the best guys that I know in the city are police officers. I recognize them when I'll be on vacation in the Bahamas, and that dude right there, I think he worked for Akron Public. He works over at Bookton. And it's never a negative thing. So I think, like you said, it's the relationship, but I think that there has to be a generation, maybe, once you get too old, but there's got to be kids that grew up and are growing up that aren't carrying that fear or that distrust, that can get out, and it's the experience that's going to change things around. What is it that makes a person that don't trust? What is it that make them start trusting again? It's the experience and the interactions with police officers that say, you know what, I'm going to stop saying that it's all police. It starts with just one officer. Your interaction with him, and then you say, you know what, that guy was pretty cool. I'm going to stop saying the police aren't right, or I don't trust the police. I'm going to start targeting these guys and say, okay, these guys are cool, but that guy right there, he's a little shady, but these guys right here are cool. And you start building on that. That's just my thing and how I think.
How do you get that relationship with that one guy when you say, well, this guy's cool, but that guy is bad, but all these guys are cool? How do you get that relationship? Because as a businessman myself, I've been on South Street for 15 years. Molly sweet treats and things.
Mm-hmm.
Not one time has a police officer got out of his car and came into my business and say, Mr. Hannah, how you doing in here? Are you okay?
Wow.
Now, when the community see the police officers doing that, that's engaging with the community. That's coming into the business saying, well, how are you? You know, I'm cool. Okay, officer so-and-so, I'm all right. That's the kind of engagement we need.
Yeah.
They need to step up and make us feel like we are somebody and we are a part of this community and make us feel safe.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When you asked that question, I was going to say it takes individuals to have interactions that are outside of the pulling you over because you created a violation. We need to create situations where the interaction, there's more frequent interaction with the police to where you get to know them outside of confrontation. Growing up in Flint, the basketball league was sponsored by, it was the Police Athletic League, Flint PAL. And they were the referees and they were the coaches and we played like AAU basketball, and that's how we started furthering our relationship with the police, is that those individuals, you didn't see them just when you was in trouble or just when you needed help. They were actually part of the community and you built a relationship with them.
We don't have that today.
We need to develop that.
We don't have that.
We need to develop that.
So what kind of plans? So we got a new mayor. You've been you've been on board serving as representative for 6 months. What kind of planning does he have to kind of bolster or push that? Because it sounds like there needs to be a restructuring and a change mindset inside the police department, starting from the top down in the way that they engage the community. What type of plans does he have on his agenda that, are similar to the idea that you have in regards to how to build that trust?
Okay, he has said that he would have foot patrols. He would get the officers out of the cars and they would be on foot patrol. He has said that they would have bike patrols, and then he has community engagement officers. They go out to the community and speak to the community. I think that probably he needs to do more interaction with younger black males. The age group that he's targeting now, they've seen too much against black people in this community.
Wow.
So they're not going to step up. When you give them this card in your barbershop, they're going to fold it up, put it in the car, and then when they go to the car wash, they're going to throw it away. That's what's going to happen to it.
Yeah.
Like when you're out somewhere and somebody approach you and they want to give you something, just to get rid of them, you say, oh, yeah, okay, give me that. And then when you put it in your car, next time you go car wash, you know what happens.
Right. Yeah. Well, do you have any ideas of things that you are planning or in the process of implementing in Ward 5?
In Ward 5, the revitalization of Morgan Park, that's one of the biggest projects that I have going now, is Morgan Park, because South Akron has been neglected for many years. Number 2, housing. I want more housing built in Ward 5, mainly South Akron, because we've got land there. I was at a meeting today and I was appalled to hear that there are new apartments or condos being built on Dan Street.
Yeah.
Across the street from the church and the detention home.
Yeah.
There's new apartments being built over there. And I'm saying, why isn't Ward 5 getting some of that money? To build houses, affordable housing for our residents in Ward 5. And that's just something, and this is one of the most important things in Ward 5, but it's not in this area. A library. Do you understand that we don't have a library on the east side?
Wow.
We had a library on Chamberlain Library. They closed that down. We do not have a library that the residents that's in that area on Arlington Street and the plaza, all of that area, they have families, kids. The closest library to them is in Firestone Park or Goodyear. That means somebody got to call a cab or catch the bus or call Papa. And that's one of the main things that I'm going to be trying to get in that area is a library.
Okay.
What's the reason that there is not one? Were there ever one? Was there ever one?
Yes, there was the Chamberlain Library on Archwood.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, from what I got information, it was getting old and it was costly to repair. So they closed it down. In the black neighborhood though, mind you.
Right.
Yeah, they closed it down. And no one has spoken up about that, and that's kind of strange. You know, because that education is a component that we as black people, we need and we want.
Right.
And you know, as a little kid, they need to read. They need to go to the library.
Yeah.
They need that.
Business and economic development? Anything going on in Ward 5, bringing more businesses or helping to grow businesses and economic development in Ward 5?
No, you know, all that's being done downtown. All that's being done downtown. I can't even think of a business, the last business that came in Ward 5. Can you?
A new business?
I know that they did some development down there. Is that Ward 5 down there at the bottom of Howard?
It's Ward 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the, what they call it?
The lofts.
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
Was that 15?
Is that what it's
Lot
called?
15?
They got lot 15. They got the north something. It's
North,
a
yeah.
market or something in there.
Yeah. But that's minor. That's minor. They just took that building. You remember what that building used to be? They just took that building and
renovated.
And put lofts in there and apartments, and they got a little businesses in there, and then they got a place for meeting rooms, and you can have a banquet there, but nothing major. Nothing major, and especially in Ward 5, nothing major.
I got a question for you, because you say Ward 5, he say Ward 5, I say Ward 5. They had some restructuring, realigning. And you also mentioned the South Side, which there's people in the East Side part of your ward and the North Hill part of your ward that don't know that you also have a portion of the South Side. Where is the ward lines at now in terms of where Ward 5 is? What different size of towns, what communities?
That's a good question. I don't know why or how they broke up the city and put 3 different areas in Ward 5. I don't know who did that. I don't know why it happened. Whomever was sitting in the seat in Ward 5, they should have been jumping up and down, but they weren't. Ward 5 starts on the north side. It goes down to the Elizabeth Park. It goes up Main Street in the central part of downtown. Then it goes to the east side. It jumps from the east side to the south side. Then you come back up, and basically Ward 5 is straight up in the middle of Akron. And it starts on North Hill and it ends on Weehawkins across Waterloo Road.
Wow.
Now, if you're on the west side of Arlington Street and you go over to the east side of Arlington Street, the west side is Ward 7. The east side is Ward 5. All the other wards are condensed and they're together, but Ward 5. That's the craziest thing that I've ever heard.
It seemed like it's a difficult ward to manage.
It is. It is. And so what I have to do is I have to put emphasis on each area in this ward at least once or twice a year. Because I get calls from the north side,
Right.
and I'm Johnny on the spot. When I get these calls from my residents, trust and believe, it doesn't matter what color you are. If you call me and you have a concern or issue, I'm there. I'm there. But I don't know why and how they would cut up Ward 5 and just leave Ward 5 from Akron to California. That's how far I'm spread it.
Yeah.
That's how far I'm spread it.
So working with other councilmen, how is that? Because for the most part, you're kind of like one of maybe 3 newly elected councilmen, 3 or 4, 3.
It's no 4.
It's,
It's
you,
Ford, Davis, myself,
Ward 4,
and then Councilman at Large.
Eric Garrett,
Yeah. Well,
Jan Davis, is
Yeah.
that her name?
yeah, Jan Davis, yeah.
Okay, so what's the learning curve in getting in and figuring out how to work as a council for the city overall? Like how much of the job is, okay, I'm focused on Ward 5. How much of the job is borrowing and building relationships within city council in order to help the mayor?
Okay, I said when I first came into council, I said I'm gonna crawl. When I come into council, I'm gonna be crawling. Second year, I'll stand up and walk. Third year, I'll run. And the fourth year, I'll run a marathon. And so now I'm trying to learn as much as I can, because it makes no sense to me to go out and try to do something that I know nothing about. So you got committee people that's been on council for years. So I'm trying to pick their brain.
Right.
I'm trying to learn everything that I possibly can in order to help my residents in Ward 5. Because I don't know all the answers now. But I am connected with the councilman on Ward 5. We get along real fine, real fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just, that's the only answer I can give you. But I'm in touch with the people I need to be in touch with. If one of my residents call me and I don't have the answer, then I reach out.
You know somebody that you
Yes,
can
sir.
get the answer from.
Yes, sir. I don't try to, they used to say, I ain't gonna say it. I ain't gonna say it. I ain't gonna say it.
Yeah, you're gonna play fair, huh?
Yeah.
Biggest challenges facing Akron, what do you see?
Safety.
Number one.
Number one.
Nothing
is
else
safety.
even close.
Nothing else even close. Safety. The safety of the residents. Number one. That's Mayor Malik. He came out and said, number one on this agenda, safety. Safety. It's like the Wild Wild West sometimes in Akron.
Right.
You know, it's not that we have a shooting this week and then 5 weeks later,
No,
it ain't like that.
it's
It ain't
happening
like that.
often.
It's
Often.
too often.
Way too
Too
often.
often.
And I was
For a city that's small.
it's
Go ahead,
small,
Dave.
yeah. And I was watching something. It was an interview, or it was a panel or something. I don't want to say no names, because it's a former president and he popular, but he ain't popular, whatever. But he was at a church, at a black church, and they asked him a question about economic development. You know, you get these, the political. And he said what you said. First thing he said was, I'm gonna say his name, it was Trump.
Yeah.
He said safety and reduction of crime. He said because that's gonna affect whether people wanna come into your community and do business, whether people wanna come in and, you know, live as residents and bolster the housing. So that's why you say safety right now, is that gonna dictate everything else that you would then be able to do that's gonna be good for the community, like you see in other communities where there is safety?
Absolutely. When you have safety in your neighborhood, then people will want to come and live in your neighborhood. You also have to keep your neighborhood litter free. You just cannot throw everything on the ground and it looks like World War II as far as litter. You have to keep your property up. And if you keep your property up, that'll invite people to come. What's happening now in our city is that people are coming into our neighborhoods now from outside the neighborhood, and they're buying up property, and they're cleaning up that property. Number one, it's cheaper to live inside the neighborhood than it is to live in Stowe, Cuyahoga Falls, and yada, yada, and so forth.
Right.
So if we, as black people, will realize that if they keep their property up and keep the property value up, then other people will come in and they will see that you are willing to keep your property up. That's a nice area. I'm gonna move there.
Yeah.
Right.
But when that doesn't happen, then people don't feel safe, you know, because I live on South Street. I'm right in the hood, right in the hood. And so I see every morning when I wake up and look out, trash everywhere. And I try to keep my property well kept. That doesn't happen, but I try.
Right.
I try. And so the only thing that basically that we have on South Street now is bars and liquor stores. And that's it.
That's huge.
Transparency. It seems, I like the idea, what you said. I thought, okay, it's a reality check. This is what I don't know. I think one of the best things that you can do is know what you don't know. Because it lets you know where I need to go from here.
Yes.
And you got a realistic timeline on gaining the skills that you need to gain in order to effectively do the job. When you have accountability like that, what type of things are you putting in place so that you can have the transparency so that people can see that? Because sometimes when we don't see something, we make stuff up. We'll just fill in the blanks. So, but I've found that when there's transparency, and then there's enough people to where when somebody's saying something about you that might not be 100% accurate, there's enough people that actually see you that it clicks to them. That's not in alignment with what I know about Johnnie Hannah. So, are there some things that you're putting in place? Are you having council meetings? Are you having ward meetings? What are some of the things that you're doing to interact with the community so that they can see what you're doing and have a step-by-step understanding of how the process works to get to know you?
Right now, my thoughts and my energy is on Morgan Park because I feel that a park is where kids can play. They need that. They need to come outside and play instead of being inside with their different social media on social media and their phones. You know, right now, when we were coming along, we went outside. You mentioned that you used to play football in the streets.
In the streets,
So
tagging.
you don't see that anymore. You don't see that now.
Yeah.
You don't see that. And so that part of our growing up, it helped us to be the men that we are.
Right.
You know, so right now my focus is on Morgan Park. I tell everybody about Morgan Park.
Right.
Also, I'm trying to work with East Akron Community Development Board to build houses over on the south side. You know, but it's their call if they want to invest their money into that. But I do have ward meetings every other month.
Okay.
Every other month, the third Thursday of the month at East Akron Community Board at from 6 to 8. This coming July, I think it's the 18th, yeah.
Okay.
At East Akron Community Development Board. I'm gonna have the CEO of SUMA come in. As you know, they took over SUMA and made it a for-profit hospital. And there are still some questions that our residents need to know, some answers that our residents need to know. And so that's going to be very interesting, and I'm going to be putting out information on social media and also flyers. I'm going to bring some literature at your barbershop and see, and hopefully they don't fold them up and throw them in the trash.
No, we'll make sure. You got to have the conversation going. Damien, is there anything that you want to touch base on before we close this thing out?
I mean, you said a lot of good stuff and a lot of you touched on a lot of stuff that where you trying to figure out what's going on and be in touch. One of the things that you said that caught my attention too is, we sometimes ask what are the things that we can do, as members of the ward and whatever have you, even down to the part where you talked about the litter and the trash and how you go outside, because I do the same thing at my house. I'm gonna go outside and clean up or pick up trash. We need to know, how. One thing we need to know, how are we, or the constituents and everybody able to get in contact, or how we able to contribute by, connecting, how we able to connect with you, and how, because the community is going to go as far as your position is one position, but people that, live in that community are going to build and make the community. How can people get in contact with you? How can people get, involved in certain ways when it comes down to building and developing the community, from the smallest things like the cleanup and the litter?
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm glad you asked that. I'll contact you next year. I just 3 months ago, Keep Akron Beautiful.
Yeah.
I started at Grant Street. I had a small a core of people that helped me, in fact, 4 of them. And we started on Grant and South Street, Keep Akron Beautiful, and we cleaned up that area on that corner. Because in that area, when they come out of the gas station and they have a wrapper or anything, it's just tossed. And so I'm kind of upset because there's too much emphasis. Now I'm a young council person.
Okay.
But there's too much emphasis on certain areas in this community. Some areas get everything they want. Ward 5 don't.
Right.
And I found out, though, through sitting in the seat for 6 months, is that you have to ask for it. You ask for it. If you don't ask for it,
you don't get it.
They gonna get it. That's
Wow,
right.
Yeah.
And so, my constituents, they can reach me. I've got a Facebook page. I've got a cell phone on the line at City Council, and that's how they can reach me.
Just directly.
That's
Send
it.
you a text message.
The
huh?
text.
Follow-up question to that?
Go ahead.
Sure.
So what then are some examples of some of the things that we can ask for?
That you can ask for?
Yeah, you said, if you want something, then you can ask for it. You'll get it. You just gotta ask, or they'll get it.
Okay.
So what can we ask for?
Okay, the smallest thing is Keep Akron Beautiful, and an organization. Before that, we didn't do that in Ward 5, and especially on the south side. So I said, why do you target Summit Lake and over here in Palumbo's ward? They have a big turnout for Keep Akron Beautiful. Every year it's the same area though. And I had an issue with that. So I did go to the CEO of Keep Akron Beautiful, and I say, why do y'all just pick the same places all the time? Well, because the councilman asked. So I said, okay. So I asked last year, guess what I got? Some pitchforks and some rakes and some bags. That was it. There was no other
No workforce.
no workforce,
no volunteer
no,
force.
nothing like that. So I'm gonna keep you in mind next year.
I'm gonna connect with you.
I'm
I
gonna keep you in mind next year.
I got a small army.
Because if the city see that we are interested in our neighborhoods,
Right.
they're gonna step up.
Yeah,
Because
they
I'm
gotta.
gonna see that happen.
Yeah.
That's
I'm gonna
good.
see that happen, without a doubt. If anything I can get and do for Ward 5, I'm gonna do it.
Good deal.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we finished. I know by the time this airs, probably by the weekend, I know that they're going to be them have. I see they moved move the Juneteenth festival
Yes,
to
yes.
John S. Knight Center. Hopefully, all that's going to go real nice, and everybody will have a good time and get down there and celebrate the culture and that type of thing. We got all of his information down here in the bottom. Contact Facebook, cell phone number, Ward Council. Check it out online. And Dame, anything else?
Good, man.
Hey, we want to appreciate you coming by. You said we talked to you months ago, and you said, "Hey, I'm not gonna forget about you. You're gonna come by. You kept your word. We appreciate that. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Absolutely appreciate
Yes, sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
And that's it, y'all. Peace.
Peace.